Hold on. I have a message. I have a message. If you are a police officer and you are going to abide by unconstitutional bull, if you are a police officer and you are going to abide by unconstitutional bull, I want you to do me a favor right now and go hang yourself because you're a piece of shit. Go yourself.
Right, a lovely thing to say to police officers. We now know who that person is. That person happens to be the #2 person in the Trump New Hampshire campaign. That was a January 6th video calling for police to kill themselves. And now we finally know who that person is. And I think it's important to point out before we get to their name and who they are and their history, that 5 police officers died as a result of the Capitol riots. 1 died by a stroke and 4 died by suicide in the days and weeks following those riots. Now, that person who that we can now name is Dylan Quattrocchi, and Dylan is we don't have full evidence that he actually entered the Capitol, guys. But we do know that he said that police officers who were abiding by this were being unconstitutional and should kill themselves. And then we look at old tweets from good friend Dylan Quattrocchi and his now suspended account. But back in 2021, WMUR News 9 obtained these tweets. Here's one: DC at the Capitol just got tear gassed, and this is clearly something he's proud of. Went on to say, "I'm bleeding for my country. You'll have to kill me to stop my hashtag fight for Trump." And then finally, and here's a good one, or not finally, but Mike Pence is a traitor to America, followed finally by this one that says, "We're not gonna take it at the United States Capitol." And so, guys, this is a person now who we know is part of the Trump campaign in the very first in the nation primary state of New Hampshire.
We're at the Capitol. It just got stormed. I got a text message from one of my buddies saying that they locked all of the congressmen and senators and Mike Pence up. It's crazy. I heard people got tear gas. This is nuts. This is history. This is America. We love our president. Let's go.
Hire that guy is what somebody saw in that video and decided to do on the Trump campaign. Here's more about his role with the Trump campaign, Dylan Quattrocchi. Quattrocchi was an aide on the unsuccessful 2022 congressional campaign of Caroline Leavitt, who now works for a Trump-aligned political action committee. Campaign finance records show that he began working for the Trump campaign in May and made $6,500 in June, the last month for which spending disclosures have been made available. And Quattrocchi has taken his job very seriously as Trump's #2 because he's also taken to social media to show himself in a photo with his boss. So these are the kind of people that are on this campaign. We don't know if he's currently working for the campaign. WMUR, who showed us that video earlier, has reached out to Quattrocchi himself, asked him about his suspended account and those tweets. He said he's not allowed to comment and referred News 9 to a campaign spokesman. And News 9 has now spoken with the campaign that does not deny the authenticity of its post or Quattrocchi's presence at the Capitol on January 6th. This is what they said. President Trump's campaign values the hard work of its team to ensure he wins the New Hampshire first in the nation primary and takes back the White House. So we'll get into what the Trump campaign knew, what this says about the campaign, but what does it say to you guys when you see this? Is the kind of person on a day or during a week when people are being sentenced, going into a month where the most sentences are going to happen for January 6th, this coming September. I guess we're here now. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, so in the old days, if you had someone who thought, it's not that big a deal if cops get killed and set it on tape, they would be fired instantly. And you would think that in a Republican campaign, they'd be fired even more quickly, at least historically, right? But no, these are new days. So Trump has basically destroyed a huge part of what was pretending to be the Republican agenda. So I don't know that the voters ever believed any of this stuff, like family values. Oh, we care a lot about family values, and then Trump, has porn star mistresses, etc. And they're like, we never meant it. We don't care at all. And in this case, Blue Lives Matter. No, they don't. They don't matter at all. This guy wanted the cops to kill themselves, and by the way, a couple of them did. And Trump doesn't care at all. Apparently, the Republican voters don't care at all. In fact, they want to defund the cops now. They want to defund the FBI. So what you meant was family values for you. In other words, I like to judge you, but not for me, because I don't want to be judged. And what you meant is cops to keep you down, but not me. I mean, I want to be able to do whatever I want and break the law. So, I mean, just 8 years ago, it would have been unthinkable that this guy wasn't instantly fired. But now it's the most normal thing in the world. And of course, I have one more question, which is, well, some of these guys are getting 17, 18 years. So the foot soldiers, are going to get decades in prison. But meanwhile, this guy's the number 2 in charge of New Hampshire, one of the most important primaries in the whole country for the leading Republican candidate. And the guy who organized the whole thing, Donald Trump, is he going to get 17 or 18 years? Or do we just apply the law to non-elites? And so I don't ask that of Democrats anymore. I asked it for 2.5 years, and finally they decided, okay, we'll prosecute someone who's in the elites, in this case, Donald Trump. Now I'm asking MAGA, you guys think it's okay for these guys to go to prison, but then Trump and his team walk around scot-free? Is that justice? Doesn't look like it to me. Ida.
Well, I was thinking about what you were saying, what you just said, and I was like, isn't it always the way that supremacy works and oppression works, is that the people at the bottom always suffer the prices? Because you and I all know that they don't care about the people who follow them blindly. They are just numbers. They're the people who purchase their merchandise, the people who blindly follow them. They were telling these people not to get vaccinated. They were dying during COVID, but they were getting vaccinated. Nobody insults that base more than the people who they follow. Like, nobody insults them most. When it comes to law enforcement, they care about your life as long as you stay in line. Blue Lives Matter as long as you are in line with the agenda. And this whole idea about these people, being a cult, it's really like that's all they do, is they mobilize these people who are suffering and struggling, that are void of an education. They have access to the information. They just don't know who to trust, who to believe, and they're being led astray. And they're the ones that are gonna go to jail. They're the ones that were crying, that they were the ones that were out there believing the gospel that they have been fed, while those people who were in positions of power fled, while they were the ones that were there in the mix, in the melee. And this, it's just so disgusting what's happening, and it's really gross to see the way these people behave, because it's become normal, as you said, and that's the scariest part of it all. It's normal to behave like you don't have good sense.
And more to what Ida is saying is that she delineated the differences between, one of the differences certainly, between a cult and a movement, right? A movement, the people care about the people that are following them. In a cult, they couldn't care less about those people. It's about himself, and that's why so many of these people have been likened to cultists, because of just this. And so now we also have the policemen, right? The police officers in the Capitol and everywhere else that were listening to this kid. Well, one of them, a U.S. Capitol Police officer, Harry Dunn, responded to the Quattracci situation yesterday, and this is what he did. He called him a failure. He said, "I hope Dylan Quattracci will take the time to comprehend that 4 members of Capitol Police and Metropolitan Police Department did die via suicide, and that the efforts to stop the certification of duly elected President Biden failed in part because of their brave heroics. You are a failure. Those men will be remembered for service to their country, and you'll be remembered as the guy in the cheap suit during the failed insurrection." That's a Capitol Hill police officer, and that is the punctuation that this story needs. Is whatever we say, and Cenk, you're right. Like this would have been punished in many different ways years ago, but Trump has changed that metric. But the bottom line is that 4 people died by suicide after this punk called them out on the floor and said, you might as well. So it's just a terrible situation.
Yeah, one development on something we talk about often related to these January 6th rioters. So Trump raised hundreds of millions of dollars for legal defense and never gave a dime to any of them. We were saying that for a couple of years here on the show, and finally it's getting picked up a little bit. And we're going to talk more about it later in the show, but Brian Kemp might have called Trump a scammer for that. And now on CNN today, they were discussing, oh yeah, Trump had a couple $100 million. How come he never used it? Oh my God, a lot of it is gone. I wonder where it is. Yeah, we all wonder where it is. And MAGA, that ain't our money, that's your money. And so he never gave it to these guys. And if you think, well, you know what, Trump shouldn't go to prison, and neither should these guys. These guys are wonderful human beings who threaten to murder people and break into the place, but still they're wonderful because they're patriots. Well, then how come Trump didn't help them? He didn't help them with a single dime of money out of the hundreds of millions that you gave him. And so now people are finally beginning to wonder and ask, where the hell is that money?
They're cattle, and unfortunately for, like you and I talk about this, Cenk, the fact that Americans don't have access to quality education is not all of them, and they don't have information that they need. But I will continue to say until somebody listens, nobody insults you more. Those people will band together for the sake of power and the sake of evil and the sake of getting whatever they can get done. But ultimately, they do not care about their base. And a lot of those people are suffering, and it's really sad. And in terms of law enforcement, coming from a community that has a very tense relationship with law enforcement, we're talking about people who are considered blue collar workers in this country. I'm talking about the people on the beat who are on the ground, and they don't care about those people either. Because if they cared about them, they would distribute funds so that they could have some mental health access and help. So that they're not answering the calls. They would really care about them, but they don't. Everybody is just a pawn in the game, and these rich people just keep playing their games, and everybody else is suffering, but they will follow them blindly. So can you really feel sorry for them?
All right, I'm gonna give the last word actually to one of our members. We love doing the show with members, by the way. Become a member by hitting the join button below the video on YouTube. Irie Fedora wrote in, MAGA equals my ass got arrested. I like it.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. We really appreciate it, guys. And we appreciate it if you become members, because that allows us to be independent, honest, progressive, all the things that you don't get from corporate media. And all of that is because of you guys. Hit the join button below and become one of us, become a Young Turk.